Slendy, hey, hit it out the park. Hit it with a strike. From the national anthem to the bottom of the night. I'm in Slendy, Ego. Slendy, Ego. Slendy, Ego. Slendy, hey, you already know what's up. What's that? Another home run. But you know the job ain't done till we hold that trophy up. Hey.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 422 of the Talking Friars podcast and YouTube show. Ben Fadden with you here. It is July 2nd. We are in the month of July 2nd, 2023. And the San Diego Padres, it was close, but they lost that series to the Cincinnati Reds here over the weekend. They lose the first game in what was a really entertaining game if you were not rooting for either side. It was a great game if you were a Reds fan, I guess. But if you were a Padres fan, was not a great game, but very entertaining for a baseball fan. Second game of this series was a great game for a Padres fan. Padres win 12-5. And then today looked like they were going to get shut out, but then they showed some fight. But then Nick Martinez gives up the game, and the Padres, they lose the series, and it's the same old, like up, down, up, down. There's been a lot more downs as of late, but yeah, like they have a really great game like they did on Saturday, but what was sandwiched in between those, or what was the bread to that, I should say, the bread in that sandwich was losing Friday, having multiple leads on Friday and losing that. And then today, having to come from behind, down 2-0, had to get back-to-back home runs, then had to try to come from behind again. They weren't able to do that, lose by 1. But yeah, just inconsistency. And the offense continues to be an issue, and time continues to tick. The clock continues to go. There's less days left on the calendar for this 2023 season. And now we have Peter Seidler talking to Kevin Acee and expressing like full faith in AJ Preller. And so I have a lot of thoughts on that, obviously, and I'm sure there's Padres fans in here that have thoughts on that. So feel free to give your thoughts on that or just anything Padres related, this Padres Reds series that happened this weekend. Give your thoughts on that in the comments. You can use that super chat button if you want to support the channel and make sure that I get to your comment or your question. And if you want to join the show and give your thoughts as well live here, you can click that link that is pinned up at the top of the YouTube chat. Quick reminder before we get going, SeatGeek code Talking Friars, $20 off your order, and click that link that is in the description. Breaking Tea, that link there for San Diego Sports Swag, Padres, Aztecs, and San Diego Wave. We'll get to some San Diego State and San Diego Wave stuff as well near the end. Just seeing what some Padres fans think about what happened this weekend. I'm seeing Devin. AJ definitely is not excellent. He's just saying this so it doesn't look bad while going public. Yeah. By the way, anyone that missed it, and we're going to get into it here after I talk about the 3 games in this Padres Red series, Seidler spoke to Kevin Acee yesterday on Saturday, and he said that AJ is excellence to him. He thinks AJ is excellence. And I disagree with that one. We have different definitions of excellence, I guess. So we'll get to that. First, and keep coming with the chat, obviously. So let's talk about today's game, and then we can work our way back since today just happened. Did my post-game reaction to this. And for me, a lot of the conversation is about Tom Cosgrove against Nick Martinez, who should have been pitching in that spot there, 8th inning, right? The Padres, they just came back to tie the game, right? So first off, right, they were down 2-0. Morahone pitched well, got some ground balls when he needed to, when there were multiple runners on base, when there were guys in scoring position. Good job out of him. Pedro Avila pitched well, but Tim Hill hits a batter, gives up a home run to Spencer Steer, who loves just shredding the Padres. So 2-0 there. Padres, they get back-to-back home runs from Kim, who is looking like Luke Voigt now with his jersey. He loves having that open now. At least that's what I saw from today. And then Tatis hits an absolute bomb into the second deck So it's a tie game. Then they have Tom Cosgrove in the game. And yeah, he allowed a base runner, pitched 2/3 of an inning. And what at least Bob Melvin said post-game, he wanted to have Nick Martinez pitch the ninth inning as well if it was still tied. If the Padres could not score in the top of the ninth, he wanted Nick to pitch in the bottom half of the ninth, and then have Hader pitch in the 10th. Another game where they didn't get to Hader. They go to Martinez, try to get more than 3 outs out of him. He has not been pitching as well as Nick Martinez has pitched for the most part in the bullpen. So I would not have gone to Nick Martinez there. I know it's easy to say in hindsight, but I didn't feel that great about it when Nick Martinez came in the game at that point. And if we look at the game logs from Nick, so today, obviously, he gives up a couple runs. But even before this, like I know that the last outing, I think it was on Friday, right? Last outing, he actually pitched fine, pitched more than an inning. I think it was an inning and 2/3. Yeah, inning and 2/3, didn't give up any runs. But what about the outing after that? Gave up 5 earned runs, technically. Didn't get an out there. No runs in the outing before that, but then gives up 2 runs. Gave up 2 runs June 20th against the Giants. 2 runs the outing before that, June 18th against the Rays. So entering today, his last 5 outings, 5 1/3 innings, 9 earned runs. Over a 15 ERA. Like, that's not the same Nick Martinez that we've been used to seeing. So I think Bob in that situation has to realize, okay, I got Tom Cosgrove, who started off his Padres career, I think, with 15 scoreless innings this year. You have him. I get it's not the great matchup that you wanted, right on right, but you can't try to squeeze one more out of Cosgrove and then go Nick for the ninth. And personally, I probably would have went Hader for the ninth, regardless of if the Padres scored in the top half of the ninth or not. Like, Hader has to pitch. The guy went like 10 games without pitching, and he's not going to go more than an inning. Let's pitch the guy. Get to the 10th inning. Isn't that the same strategy that they used on Friday? They didn't pitch Hader for 2 innings in the 9th and 10th. They used him, I think it was just in the 9th inning, to get to the 10th. So use that same thought. But that's not what Bomel and the Padres decided to do today. And Nick ends up giving up the home run. And another game where the Padres, they don't even get to Josh Hader. And by the way, because I don't want to forget about this, Josh Hader, he did make some comments about him not going 2 innings on Friday, because there were a lot of Padres fans that are upset why Josh Hader, like, why is he only pitching 1 inning? Josh Hader has to pitch multiple innings there when he had that much time off before or in between outings. And I understand that, but Josh Hader, this is him. Health. It's all health. He told Kevin Acee, I've got to make it through a whole season to be beneficial. I wasn't comfortable with it. Obviously, we're all banged up in the bullpen. We're hurting. We got time back today, but it just wasn't right. So, like, he's not comfortable with it. He says, I've done the heavy workload in 2017, 2018, 2019. I felt it. It's not easy. You burn yourself out and you're no help to the team at the end of the year. My argument to Josh there, and I get the point, but the Padres aren't 20 games over 500. They're not in a playoff spot. They're nowhere near a playoff spot. This is the Padres playoffs right now. If they want to make the actual postseason, they've got to treat this like the postseason. Because if they continue to lose and they have a great game on Saturday, but that's, the bread to that sandwich are a loss on Friday, a loss on Sunday, series losses, continue to lose series. You get swept by Pittsburgh. They went 2-7 against the Nationals, the Pirates, and the Reds. And I get the Reds are a better team, but come on. You just look at those 3 teams and it's like 2-7. You can't do that. This is their postseason. So when you have that much time off, maybe pitch more than an inning. I get, okay, he's not comfortable with it, so he wasn't going to do it. But it still pisses you off as a Padres fan that he doesn't have the ability to do that right now. And he said, he mentioned something, I don't know if it was Bomel, I forget if it was him or Hader. He mentioned to Kevin that maybe he would do it later in the year. He would be more built up for it. But later in the year, the Padres could be 12 games out. They could have already traded him to another team. They could have already traded Snell. They could already be out of it, and maybe he doesn't get traded because Seidler and Preller want to continue to believe in this team through the deadline. He's on this team, but the Padres are nowhere near contention, so what's the point in him pitching multiple innings or pitching back-to-back days or pitching 3 days in a row, right? Like, now, hopefully you get my point. Like, now is the postseason for the Padres right now. That's what it feels like. So, yeah, $100 million to Hader in free agency, that's not going to happen. Not happening. So, yeah, today, so they lose 4-3. Like, I like the fight, right? But fight doesn't produce wins and losses all the time. Or, excuse me, it doesn't produce only wins. It produces wins and losses. And even if they do show fight, they're still losing more games than they're winning right now. And Juan Soto, after losing on Friday, he reminded me of Jay Stingler. Like, hey, we battled out there. He used the B word, battled. And I know I'm saying I'm proud that they fought. At least they fought. But that doesn't get you wins. Maybe that improves your chances, but that doesn't guarantee you wins. And the Padres right now, it's not about moral victories. Like Bob Melvin even said in his post-game presser today, like, it's not about where they're at right now. It's just about winning games. So, yeah, we can be happy that they fought. At least they did that. But are we going to be happy forever because, they fought? No, they're 8 games under 500. It's about the wins and the losses. It's about the results. And we're just not seeing the results. And this team, look, Peter Seidler, he's a very optimistic guy. And I'll get more into the Seidler Preller stuff later. He's a very optimistic guy. So I just hope that he doesn't continue to have that optimism in this team come August 1st and doesn't sell off guys if this team still is playing or still has the record that they do, which I mean like well under 500, nowhere near a postseason spot. I hope that he doesn't see, well, hey, AJ, they're fighting. It's okay. Yeah, go buy some pieces or stand pat. Don't do anything. Don't sell away our expiring contracts when we're not going to bring them back in free agency next offseason anyway. I hope that doesn't happen because he gets tricked into, they're fighting, 1-run losses. They're almost there. We're about to turn the corner. I hope that doesn't happen because they haven't turned the corner this year. They're 5-15. I think I saw John Schaefer tweet that this afternoon. They're 5-15 in 1-run games. I mean, I get it. That's a lot of 1-run games. Like, what if some of these games went a different way? They'd have a winning record there and they'd be closer to 500. But who cares about that? Like, you can't change the past. Right now, the Padres, they have a losing record. They're well under 500. They're not near a postseason spot. Do they have a month to show Seidler and Preller that they can be a postseason team? Yeah. But even if they play good baseball over a month, are they going to be in a postseason spot? I don't know. Are they going to be over 500 at that point? I don't know. So, and this brings me into yesterday's loss, right? Or excuse me, yesterday's win. Padres win 12-5. Walker pitches well. The offense does great. Soto has a home run. Manny has a couple home runs. But it's up and down. It's just inconsistency. Like, this great win on Saturday, that didn't leave me happy because I've seen this a lot this year where they score 10 runs and the next day they score 1 run, or they lose on Friday, they score 12 runs on Saturday, and then today they lose by 1 run. And we didn't even know that they were going to lose by 1 run. It might have been 2 based on the way things were late in the game and based on the way things were after the Tim Hill home run that he allowed, So, yeah, it's just up and down, or it's a lot of downs as of late, and it's just inconsistency. It's almost like I want to see this Padres team have like 3-4 wins in a row where they have to battle it out, they have to come back, or they win 1-run games. Maybe they have the lead the whole time, but it's 3, 4, 5 wins in a row where they win 2-1 or 4-3 or 1-0 or 5-4 or 6-5. They win by like 1 run. Because then that right there shows, okay, they can hold it, or they can come back and then hold the 1-run lead. But these 12-5 wins, these blowout wins, as as the meat in the sandwich of losses, that doesn't do anything for me because guess what? The bread, 2 out of 3, you're losing ground. You're continuing to lose ground. It's not like you gained ground, took 2 out of 3. No, you lost 2 out of 3. Oh, and by the way, you didn't even win a game in Pittsburgh. Oh, and you lost 2 out of 3 to the Nationals. Like 2-7 in that 9-game span. Those are games you're not going to get back, and that's showing who this team is right now. So yeah, it was cool to see Manny have a couple home runs. But look at the total package, especially with Manny this year. I love Manny, but he's hitting 200 runners in scoring position this year. He hit like 318 last year. I was looking this up during the game when during today's game, he struck out in the first with runners in scoring position, just like Bogey did. And he popped out to right, shallow right in foul territory in the 6th with a runner in scoring position. That's a big drop off. And it's just numbers wise, it's been a big drop off for Manny this year. And he knows that. He's taken accountability for it later than I was hoping he would have, but he still took accountability for it. But again, it's kind of like the fighting thing on the field. Like, okay, well, what are the results? The results are you're still well under 500. The results are, well, you lost today. And with Manny, with runners in scoring position and just his play overall this year offensively, he's still good defensively. I know that. It's going to be there. But offensively, yeah, he can be accountable and say, yeah, I'm embarrassed by my play. I think our team's embarrassed by the play this year. But results, runners in scoring position, offensively, the numbers are all down. And he's one of the star players on this team. He's supposed to be, the leader of one of the leaders of this team, and he's not performing like one of the best players on the team this year. His career average 280 this year, 246 entering today. Entering today 120 or entering today 95 OPS plus, career OPS plus 125. OPS entering today 702, career 828. Slugging percentage 414 entering today, 489 in his career. On base percentage 288 entering today, 339 over his career, averaging in his career. Less than 1 WAR on Baseball Reference. Don't know if a lot of people care about that, but again, the results are the results. The numbers, they do tell a story, and he's one of many guys on this roster that are not performing up to expectations. So Saturday's loss did nothing for me. And Friday, what a roller coaster Friday was. A 7-5 loss, 11 innings. Again, as I said at the top of the show, if you're just a baseball fan watching, you were very entertained by that game. If you were a Reds fan, obviously, you were entertained by that game because it ended the way you wanted to. But you see, it's the Reds winning those close games, not the Padres. Lugo pitched well, 6 innings, gave up no earned runs, 1 run, struck out 6, didn't walk any. He's been pretty good this year. There's been some clunkers, but for the most part, he's been good at the back end of that rotation when he's been healthy. Bottom of the 6th, Ailey De La Cruz, he got on base on a fielding error. Christian Soto there, and this, I don't know what the story of the season, just like being there, being in position and just not getting the job done, I guess. Ailey De La Cruz, the pop-up in left center. Grish is running over it to it. Soto was camped under it, according to a lot of people on social media, even though he was backpedaling. And I thought that was Grish's ball. He's the center fielder. He's allowed to take charge. And Bob Melvin even said, look, he got the reasoning wrong. He said it was a sun ball. They both saw it. It was just miscommunication. But Melvin did admit after the game on Friday, yeah, Grish has a better angle to that. And that's Grish's ball. Soto's got to get out of the way. Even if you say it's Soto's ball, okay, someone catch the ball. I don't care who, someone catch the ball. We don't have to disagree. Like I said in my post-game reaction on Friday, we don't have to disagree on who catches the ball. Someone has to catch that ball. And of course, guess what happens? That run ends up scoring on the next batter on a hit. Bottom of the 7th, Honeywell, he gives up a home run to Stevenson. That made it 2-1 Cincinnati. Top 9 fighting. Carpenter had a sac fly. There were a couple sac flies after a couple runners reached base, got to second and third. Carp had a sac fly, brought the run in. That tied it at 2. And then top 10, Grish had a sac bunt. Tatis had an RBI single. Grish's bunt, by the way, was big in that spot because that brought the infield in with the runner on third. Tatis gets the single. And then what happened after that? Soto had a double, and it was like, okay, so they fought, and they have a 2-run lead. It's not like it was just a 1-run lead, 2-run lead there. I think there was 2 outs in the bottom of that 10th inning, and it's like, all right, they're going to win this game. Except they didn't. Just not being able to close the door, not being able to finish the job in that 10th inning. So 4-2 lead. Ray Kerr comes in the game. By the way, Hader came in. It was like the first time in 10 days or whatever that he pitched. And he pitched well. Didn't give up any runs in that 9th inning. Kept the game tied. But then Kerr comes into the game. And this is kind of on Preller because it's like, well, who else is Bob Melman going to go to? He has to go to Ray Kerr. He gets the first 2 outs. Stevenson, obviously, with runners in scoring position, he is in scoring position because in extra innings, the runner starts at second, obviously. And Matt McLain hits a line drive home run with 2 outs to tie the game at 4. And it's like, well, of course. They were right there for the win, snapped the losing streak, and they didn't. So we go to the 11th. And the Padres, they they scored another run, made it 5-4. Sanchez had a single up the middle, kind of bad hop on India. Bogart scores 5-4. No more runs in that inning. We go to the bottom of the 11th, and now it's Drew Carlton in instead of Ray Kerr. And first batter, Elly De La Cruz, with India starting the inning at second. Elly De La Cruz doubles. That ball was smashed into the gap, and it's 5-5. Another situation where there were 2 outs, and the Padres could not get it to that next inning. Or, one of those innings, right? The McLain home run couldn't finish the job and get the win. Here, the game was tied. It looked like, they got the out with Elly De La Cruz running to home, runner on third, ground ball. Bogarts throws it. Sanchez blocks home, which he's allowed to do because the infield's in. They get that out. The replay review actually made the right call there. And so it's still 5-5. And it's like, all right, they got the runner off of third. That's great. But then Spencer Steer, next batter, hits the walk-off home run. And it's just like a kick in the nuts. It feels like it's been a nightly kick in the nuts or a daily kick in the nuts whenever the Padres play. It's painful. It's painful, And again, just don't have the false hope. Like, oh, Saturday, okay, they scored 12 runs. Yeah, but what happened the days before that? Swept by Pittsburgh. They had multiple leads on Friday. Couldn't come away with them. And today, they can't get that win either. They lose another 1-run game. It was a 2-run game multiple times. But, they get a run there late, and they lose that. And, yeah, Odor smashed that ball, that last out today. But it was an out. Like, at the end of the day, what matters when you're well below 500? We're in July now. It's not even June. The results matter the most. And the results say that the Padres are not a good baseball team. They're 38-46. They're still 4th in the NL West. And they went 2-7 against the Nats, Pirates, and Reds. So, yeah, definitely disappointing series. And the Soto stuff after Friday's game, we battled. Well, this isn't the time for moral victories. I guess you could say that sitting in the clubhouse when there's no media there. Like, yeah, hey, we battled. You can get on the bus, go to the hotel, and be like, hey, we gave it our best there late. And they could say that about Sunday today, late today. But what happened in the first part of this game? They got owned by, what was this guy's name? Andrew Abbott. I wish the Padres had one of those guys, a couple of those guys, huh? Just rookies that can come in and have like a sub-2 ERA, just dominate other lineups. And the rotation's been pretty good this year. So I'm not saying like the rotation hasn't been good. And so I wish there was an Abbott. I just wish overall they could have someone, in AAA that could come up and be that next season or something. Like the depth's just not really there. 15 were, I believe it was 15 retired in a row by Abbott in this Padres offense. And, early in the game, first inning, they had some runners in scoring position opportunities, couldn't cash in. Manny with the pop-up with the runner in scoring position. He went 0 for 4 today. Had a big day, obviously, in the second game of the series. but I think he went 0 for on Friday as well. Let me double check. Yeah, 0 for 5. So in the 2 losses for the Padres in this series, he went 0 for 9. When Manny goes, the Padres go, is what it seems like. And Manny hasn't really gone this year consistently. And look where the Padres are. It's not a one-person thing, but there is a correlation there. There is. All right, quick break. And then I want to get to this Peter Seidler, AJ Preller stuff, obviously, because there's a lot of people that are going to want to talk about this. Check out Gaglione Bros' famous cheesesteaks and garlic fries on Friars Road. You can visit their website, gaglionebros.com, for their entire menu and enjoy their cheesesteaks and fries at Petco Park and Snapdragon Stadium as well. All right. Just had to get a sip of water. So, Kevin Acee, we were wondering when Peter Seidler was going to talk. When was this going to be? AJ Preller, he spoke on Ben and Woods. I already gave my thoughts on that in the last show. You can go look at that on the previous episode. Pretty much, I was just like, yeah, AJ didn't really say anything. He deflected when asked some pretty good questions by Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan. So we know Preller talked. We were waiting for Seidler. When was he going to talk? I thought it was going to be when the Padres came back home, maybe before the draft or at some point during this next homestand. That's what it felt like it was going to be. Some people in the media were hinting like, yeah, he's going to talk soon. I didn't expect it to be a one-on-one during the game with Kevin Acee on Saturday. But that's what happened. One-on-one, talking about the direction of the team. He talked about a lot of stuff. And Peter Seidler, if you thought that Peter Seidler was going to bash AJ Preller publicly in this article, I think you were mistaken just going into the article, and you were going to be disappointed. But there were some things, like it's okay to express optimism, like you're going to do that as the chairman of the team, and especially when you're like the most optimistic guy on the planet, right? He and Ted Lasso are right up there with each other, I would say. So we knew that he was not going to bash AJ Preller. Not going to happen. But there were some things where it was like, did you need to say that? Were some things, after he expressed the optimism, he said some things where it was like, man, AJ is going to be here beyond this year, isn't he? He's going to get more of a leash if they don't make the postseason. There's still, and it's like, really? Peter really thinks this? He really thinks this, huh? Here's the quote that obviously was mind-blowing. Is that the right word? It stood out. I'm not afraid to make changes. I never have been. So there, I'm like, okay, not afraid to make changes. Okay. That's good. Good to put in the back pocket. But then he says, but I really value stability. And when I know the person as well, and the skill set as well as I know AJ and Eric, they're not going anywhere. Period. I believe in stability. It is something that is undervalued, generally speaking, in organizations and maybe particularly in sports franchises. But I'm not for mediocre stability. I'm for excellence. And get this. And to me, AJ is excellence. Excuse me? Excellence? I'm not someone that hates AJ player. I'm not someone that hates AJ Preller. For anyone that knows, I had my mom actually make a shirt that was up or was inspired by that shirt. It's up on Breaking Tea probably still. AJ Preller is a legend after he made that Juan Soto trade last year. Had the guts to do that. And everyone was excited about it, right? Like I'm someone that has backed AJ Preller. But the results have to speak louder than AJ and Seidler's relationship with one another. They have to speak louder than the splash moves that AJ makes. AJ has made the postseason twice as the GM of the San Diego Padres, starting in 2015. I know he was hired in 2014, but starting in 2015. Twice. He tried in 15, that failed, had to go through a rebuild. 2020, by the way, one of 2 postseason appearances, it was in a short season. Who knows if the Padres would have made the postseason if it was a full 2020 season. And they got swept by the Dodgers. 2022, based on the results, seems like that's an outlier. 2022 has been sandwiched between 2021, which is a huge collapse, embarrassing collapse, and 2023, the most disappointing season in Padres franchise history as of now, with all the hype around this team, fan fest, the superstars. So for me, that doesn't say excellence. That Peter Seidler and I have different definitions of excellence then, if we're basing it off of results. Now, Seidler, he might not be basing it off of results, and he knows AJ more than I do, more than all of us do in terms of like personal conversations. He probably talks to Preller, if not every day, definitely multiple times a week, every other day. Like they have a great relationship, obviously. But again, it should be about the results. And 2 postseason appearances, 1 postseason appearance in a full season in 8 years. Now he's on his 9th season here. That's not good enough. Isn't that mediocre stability? Or even worse than mediocre stability, because mediocre stability is maybe, not getting to the promised land, but you're making the postseason maybe every other year. Like there's consistency, right? You're not the Dodgers, not that type of stability, or the Rays or something like that, or the Astros. But hey, every couple years you're making the postseason. It's there. With AJ, for the majority of the tenure, it has not been there. And I know last year was great. It was great. I loved it. I loved the moves that he made. They made it to the NLCS. That was great. But it's also funny that he talks about stability, and I believe in stability. And he's let AJ Preller hire Andy Green and fire him. He's allowed him to hire Jace Tingler and fire him. And he's allowed him to hire Bob Melvin, which it seems like Seidler wanted. And if Melvin is the guy that ends up taking this, and he's the one that has to go because of this, that will make me go insane. Because this is not on Bob Melvin. He's made some bad moves, but it's not on Bob Melvin. And it has to be on the roster that this guy constructed. And I like the roster for the most part going into the year. So maybe I'm being a hypocrite here. But again, the results have to be the results. 2022, again, it seems like that is an outlier. 2020 was a short season. 2019, you had guys giving up, including Manny at the end of the year. 2021, collapse. 2022, okay, postseason. 2023, most embarrassing season, most disappointing season in San Diego Padres history so far, the way it's playing out. How does that, seriously, how does that show excellence? That's excellence? I totally disagree with Peter Seidler on that. Maybe AJ is an excellent communicator with Peter. Is that what he's talking about? Because, again, the results on the field, that's not excellence. It's not. And the whole Eric Grubner thing, who cares, to be honest? I'm not disrespecting. I don't want to disrespect Eric Grubner, but Padres fans here listening live or watching live on YouTube, listening on the podcast or watching on replay on YouTube, seeing a clip of this, whatever, they don't care about Eric Grubner. Maybe season ticket holders, but for their experience. But the fans, they care about AJ Preller. Eric Grubner, is he the one saying, oh yeah, let's go sign this player who was released by this organization? Let's go trade for Austin Nola. Grubner's the one that's doing that? No, it's AJ Preller. They care about AJ. And so, yeah, Eric can stay. Look at all the money that they're making and the ballpark and all that, whatever. But if things turn out the way that it seems like they're going to turn out this year, which is no postseason appearance, and AJ stays, why? How many chances are you going to give this guy, Peter? And I love Peter Seidler. This is the best owner of my lifetime, obviously. And this is the best owner that probably a lot older Padres fans have ever had in their lifetime. Someone that's willing to spend a ton of money on players and invest in this team. And he's actually a fan of the team and cares. He's not just viewing this as a business. He does care. I love that. And I love him. But it feels like one of his blind spots is AJ. He just has this blind faith in AJ Preller regardless of what the results are going to say at the end of this season. And so I'm hoping that this was just him talking to Kevin Acee and saying, yeah, of course, I think AJ is excellent, and not really believing it, just saying it because he's not going to bash AJ. Hopefully he means it by when he told Kevin here, I'm not afraid to make changes. I never have been. Hopefully that is like the truth. Not afraid to make changes. Never have been. Hopefully right there, that's what he actually means that when the season's over, if this team doesn't make the postseason. Because next year, with let's say a new GM or new president of baseball ops comes in, sure, maybe Seidler doesn't want to have to deal with that transition in the offseason. But sometimes you have to make hard decisions. And you're still going to have a pretty good on-field product because you have a lot of, at least on paper, like the names and all that, you would think, right? And Seidler's still going to continue to spend money, I would imagine. So, because he's all in for these next probably few years, you would think, till Soto's gone at least, which is this year and next year. So they're still going to pay. You would think they still have a good roster. I think that next president of baseball ops or that next GM, if Preller ends up being canned, I think he'd still be in a good spot. And he'd still be able to have success in 2024. So if Seidler's scared about that, I don't think he should. But yeah, he discussed a lot of different things in this article here. But that was obviously the main quote that stood out. You know, he talks to Kevin about, this was during the Reds Padres game on Saturday, how he was excited. There were quotes in here about his reaction to the Juan Soto home run. We have half the season to play, Seidler said. Much stranger things have happened. We've got a very good team, I believe. It's not a very good team based on results. We've got great men, I believe, and we're getting a little bit healthier, and we have a trade deadline in front of us. So there's a lot of catching up for us to do. I'm on the train that says we're going to catch up. Well, what if by the deadline, Peter, the train that they're going to catch up, that train never leaves the station, if that makes sense. And the train that says they're not going to catch up, that's the one that actually ends up going to the destination. Hopefully that makes sense. Like, that's the actual train, because that's the train that's going to be there at the end of the year. Like, they're not going anywhere. If that's what, over the next month, they continue playing like this, up and down and more downs than up, I hope that he doesn't stay on that train that says, we're going to catch up. It's going to be fine. Keep Josh Hader, keep Blake Snell, keep expiring contracts, because that's not going to help the franchise for 2024, 2025. And this isn't 2017 or 2018 where I'm like, yeah, build for 2022, 2021, 2023. That's our year. I'm not saying that. No, I'm saying put yourself in a good position for next year. Because, again, the results are saying this team isn't going anywhere right now. He also talked about like the stability of the team and year in, year out contention. I know we're going to be good. We're going to have every chance to be in the mix for the World Series every single year. And so that gives me some kind of serious long-term comfort. We're not going to reverse course. We're always going to adjust. All my focus now is on this year because I'm as solid as I can be on the year after and 2 years after and 3 in the next year. I don't think the Padres are as solid as they can be for next year. Like, if they don't go anywhere this year, you're telling me next year you're in a better spot next year if you do nothing compared to if you do sell off your parts that are on the expiring contracts that you're not going to bring back? No, you'd be in a better spot if you sell off some stuff. I mean, the fans keep showing up. So yeah, like in terms of like ticket revenue and stuff, like I'm sure he'll be fine and they'll get a new TV deal probably in the off season. Like they'll be fine. But I'm talking about like the depth of the team, the talent on the team. There's guys leaving after this season. So you got to put if something's not going to happen this year, You got to put yourself in a better position for next season. That's how I feel on it. The AJ is excellence part. Oh my gosh. Peter. That's just like, what? We have different definitions of excellence, I guess. Excellence is 2 postseason appearances in 8 years. One of them in a short season. That's excellence. Excellence is having a losing record as the general manager. I'd imagine it's a losing record. Excellence is allowing him to spend on this high payroll and you being 8 games under 500 on July 2nd. Peter says, that's the very interesting thing about professional sports. You have a couple of bad months and fans or the media say, you've got to fire this guy. It's crazy to me. Absolutely crazy. Yeah, the people that say fire Bob Melvin, I think that's crazy. I think people that say fire AJ Preller right now, I think that's crazy. Because the draft's coming up. The deadline's coming up. Like, what? You're going to have the assistant GM come do it? The same job that AJ was? Like, I think you'd be dumb to let go of AJ right now. You let him go through the season, and then you fire him if things don't turn around. So yeah, I agree with Seidler on the absolutely crazy stuff. Fire this guy now. Yeah, you shouldn't. Seidler says, first, I love Bob Melvin. Talking about Bob Melvin, I guess his job security. Bob is pushing every button he knows how to push, and that's all I can ask. I respect him. I trust him. But I can say that about a lot of people that work under AJ and a lot of people that work under Eric. I don't stick my nose in those things. I'm a sounding board for both of those guys. So that's Preller's decision to fire Bob or not at some point, I guess. But Bob shouldn't be fired, I don't think. Like, this is on the players, one, and then I think you got to point to AJ, the common root in all of this. And according to Acee, Preller stopped short, Seidler stopped short of guaranteeing Bob Melvin's job security. I would hate for that. If the Padres end up firing Melvin and keeping AJ, what is that going to do? Who are you going to go get that you think's better than Bob Melvin? You're going to let AJ Preller hire a 4th manager after Green first. Green, Tingler, and Melvin. You're going to allow him to go hire another one? So you went the young route. You went the rookie route, guy that has no idea what he's doing. You went the route of a veteran manager in Bob Melvin. So you let him hire another one. Who are you going to go? You're going to hire another veteran? Might as well keep Bob Melvin. And what veteran is that going to be? Bruce Bochy is already gone. You're going to try to bring Ron Washington in? Well, guess what? He's on a contending Braves team. I think he's happy being a coach on that Braves team. They're in a much better spot than the Padres. And does Ron Washington, I'm just throwing that name out there, does he want to be the manager of a team or manage for a GM that decided to take Jace Tingler over him? Remember, Ron Washington was the finalist for that manager job in 2021. 2021, right? Or before 2020. Whenever Tingler was hired. He was a finalist, and Preller ended up going with Jace freaking Tingler. Ask my friends. They know I was pissed off right when that happened. It was like you had Ron Washington on your doorstep, and you went with Jace Tingler. Now, I'm fine with Bob Melvin. Like, I was happy with that when that happened. But at that point, it was like, it just feels like wasted years because you went with Jace Tingler. Yeah, I've managed games in my mind. They battled out there. It's not about the silver linings anymore. It's about the results. So yeah, that I know I gave a lot of thoughts on that. There's over 100 comments in here, so I'll try to get to a lot of people in here. If you want to make sure I get to your comment or your question, because again, there are a lot in there, use that super chat button. It makes it very easy for me to see your comment, and it supports the channel, so I appreciate that. I'll be back after this. I want to tell you about the best and easiest way to play fantasy sports. It's Underdog Fantasy. They have great pick'em games and best ball tournaments. In pickup games, just pick higher or lower on 2 to 5 players' stats, and you can win up to 20 times your money in a single night. You can go cross-team, cross-league, and even cross-sport. Best Ball revolves around the draft, which is what every fan loves the most about fantasy, and it eliminates the hassle of having to manage your roster all season long, resulting in a fun and easy fantasy product. How does it work exactly? You enter a contest where you participate in a snake draft against other users. That lineup that you drafted competes against every other draft in the entire contest. The better the combined performance of your team, the more money you win. After your lineup is all played, Underdog will take the best performing players and automatically set them as your starting lineup. That's it. No waivers, no trades, no worrying about who to start or sit. After you complete your draft, your part is done. Underdog Fantasy offers Best Ball in a variety of ways, including daily contests, weekly contests, playoff contests, and season-long contests. You can either enter into these and compete against thousands of other entrants for huge prizes, or, if you'd like, you can enter into a private draft with friends and family to compete for a smaller prize pool. Underdog keeps it super simple with their easy-to-use website and mobile apps. Sign up now by clicking the link in the description or by using the promo code TALKINGFRIARS, and you'll double your first deposit up to $100 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit of $10 or more. So if you deposit $100, you get $100 free. If you deposit $10, you get $10 free. All right, instant reaction, breaking news here. Major League Baseball, they have announced the National League All-Star pitchers and All-Star reserves. Going into this, I thought that the Padres had a chance to have 3 All-Stars. I thought Hader, Soto, Tatis. 2 probably. I thought it would be Tatis and Hader, but it actually is Josh Hader and Juan Soto. Now, Ha-Seong Kim, I think he deserves a strong look to be a reserve on the infield if someone comes out. The hustle that he's had, he continues to improve year in, year out with this Padres team. And he's obviously really good defensively. He's hitting at the top of the lineup. He's been one of the more valuable players for this Padres team. But it's not like the Padres team is in a position like the Braves where they are well over 500, you know. So Hader and Soto, a very slow start to his 2023 season, but he has since turned it around. And obviously the All-Star game, you want the big names in there. And he is one of the big names, obviously. He has a 3.6 WAR entering Sunday, 160 OPS plus, 925 OPS. And considering where he started the season, that's a very good OPS for Juan Soto. He started the season, his first month, he was hitting 202. His OPS was 757 at that point. So now to have it well over 900, good for him. He's been one of the Padres' best players. And Josh Hader, a 1.21 ERA, 31 games, 18 saves, a whip, under 45 punch-outs in 29 and 2/3 innings, a 1.4 baseball reference WAR. He's one of the best relievers in baseball. Now, I wish the Padres would be able to use him for more than an inning, but hey, it is what it is at this point in the season. So congratulations to Josh Hader. Congratulations to Juan Soto. Those are 2 big names in Major League Baseball. We'll see if Juan Soto does the home run derby. I think that he was considering it if he got selected. He doesn't want to go all the way there if he wasn't selected, but he has been selected. And if there is a National League outfielder that bows out, can't go, doesn't want to go, I would be surprised if Fernando Tatis Jr. does not end up being named to the All-Star team because he is one of the big stars in the league. Maybe he'd do the home run derby too. Who knows? Because he does have the surgery on the shoulder. And he's actually had a good season as well. I shouldn't act like I'm surprised by Tatis having a good season. He's one of the best players in baseball. A 137 OPS plus entering Sunday. This is on Baseball Reference. 854 OPS, 40 runs driven in, 15 bombs, 3.6 Baseball Reference WAR. He's been tremendous defensively. He's at the top of the lineup. he had the 20-game suspension, which probably hurt him in the All-Star game voting and all that. But he's been, I think, the Padres' best player, according to Fangraphs, this year. So look for him to maybe make it. Look for Ha-Seong Kim to maybe make it. Maybe Snell as a starting pitching replacement. But those are the only guys that I would think of, hey, maybe they make it as replacement guys. But yeah, congratulations to Juan Soto and to Josh Hader. Yeah, I guess that's a question too. I do see in the chat, maybe Hader declines being in the All-Star game. I mean, if you're going to not want to pitch 2 innings in a game for your actual team, yeah, maybe you should not pitch in the All-Star game. Okay, let's go through the comments. There is a ton of comments in here. So again, you can use that super chat button if you want to make sure I get to your comment or your question, and that supports the channel as well. So I deeply appreciate that. Let's see here. Arthur says last year's roster would have probably performed better. Who knows? Who knows? Because a lot of the same guys were on last year's roster, and they're just underperforming this year. Matt says, no way to know what's going on in Seidler's head. He looks very unwell. I don't know what illness he has, but it could explain his penchant for going all in. I don't want to get too deep into that because I don't know. I know he's a cancer survivor, I think a couple times. So he's a battler himself, and he's someone that maybe that's part of why he has this approach. Like, I'm not giving up, not happening. And I applaud him for that. Like, obviously, in life, not giving up and all that. But I think just for this season, if it continues to go this way, realizing that this team's not going to go where we all hoped it was going to go. And you have to put yourself in the best position to have the team go to that place next year. So we'll see what happens. Let's see here. Brent says Cronenworth needs to be benched. His OPS is 50 points lower than Grisham's. Think about that. He's not going to turn it around. He is what he is. Yeah, but they paid him. He's one of the leaders of the team. He's pretty good defensively. I know his value has pretty much tanked at first base compared to second base, but he's going to play every day. Like, you're going to play Rougned Odor every day, or they're going to have Matt Carpenter, 37-year-old Matt Carpenter, play every day at first base? They're not going to do that. So he's going to be playing. I get your frustration. I'm frustrated as well. He's pissed off, but they're going to keep playing him. Now, he has had more frequent days off. I think he had a day off. Was that Friday or yesterday? He had a day off, I think, during the Cincinnati series. I think he had a day off during the Pittsburgh series, if I remember correctly. So he is getting more days off when he doesn't want the days off. So they're putting some other guys in, but they're not going to bench him, and what I think about benching is, I think, like, yeah, you're not playing. You're not a starter. He's still a starter. They'll just sit him a little bit, every once in a while. I think Melvin, believes in Crony as well. Charlie says it was such a huge mistake for the jump to give Cronenworth that extension when they didn't need to. Yeah, I get they didn't need to, but they took out some arbitration years. He was coming off. It's kind of like Manny Machado coming off a great year. Manny, MVP. Crony just had like the biggest hit in franchise history at Petco Park. Plays every day. He's one of the leaders of the team. At the time, I think a lot of Padres fans thought it was a bargain in terms of like the AAV. They got it down. Like, there were a lot of fans that liked that deal. And it's very easy to look at it now and be like, oh, didn't need to do it. That was stupid. Why'd they do that? I think kind of like the Bogaerts deal. I think it's too early to sit there and say, stupid contract. Shouldn't have given it out. Like, let's wait. Let's wait on that. Now, the Bogaerts deal, like, yeah, when the deal happened, I think we all admitted back end, that's not going to look great. And right now, the first year hasn't looked that great. But I think it's too early to be like, yeah, such a huge mistake for those contracts. Let's see here. WK, Manny, brutal at bats today. Yeah, some of them. Just swinging at pitches that he doesn't need to be swinging at. Fastballs outside the zone, striking out with runners in scoring position. Yeah, it's been frustrating for sure. Chad says, just curious, why so many people still give AJ Preller so much credit for what he has done during his tenure here as GM? It's like they forgot that Seidler is the one who gave him the green light. Well, there were also some of these deals that were trades. The Tatis deal, obviously, he's going to be able to hang that over people's heads, hang that over the White Sox heads. Like, that was him. The Jake Cronenworth thing, they did believe in that talent that they got back. I know he was the throw-in, but they did acquire him for a reason. And you usually don't win very many trades with the Rays. But they got Croney out of that. He did trade for Joe Musgrove, and guess who's winning that deal right now? I would say the Padres are. He's made some good deals. Darvish, I forget who the heck the Padres traded to. Was it Owen Casey and some other prospects traded to the Cubs for that in that deal? He's made some good deals, and it's not just money that's going to bring the free agents here. Like, you do have to recruit them. You do have to have a vision. So I think it's okay to give AJ some credit. But yeah, all the credit, I agree. You shouldn't give him all the credit. I agree with that point, Chad. JD's third says, what picks does AJ have on Seidler? Yeah. Just the so much faith Seidler has on Preller. I like having faith in like your leadership. I think you need to have faith. I don't think Seidler should fire guys, every year just because they've had a couple bad weeks like the team. But this is 9 seasons now. This is the 9th year for Preller. And what does he have to show for it? He doesn't have a World Series appearance. He doesn't have any World Series titles. You had a very disappointing end to 2019, right? I know they weren't ready yet, but still, you had guys giving up at the end of 2019. You had the clubhouse culture stuff, 2021, right? You bring in Jace Tingler, you hire Andy Green, and it feels more like AJ was forced to bring in Baumel. And look what's happening now. Like, okay, they made the playoffs in 2022. That was great. But the collapse in 2021 was the year before that. And this year, it's the most disappointing season in franchise history so far. And it will be for sure if they continue to do this. If they finish below 500 this season, are you kidding? That's not a failure. Is there something worse than a failure? That's what that is. And for Seidler to sit there and keep Preller if that happens, it's hard to believe. So, the AJ is excellence part, I hope that's just him because, he's not going to bash AJ in the media. And hopefully he believes the part of, I'm not afraid of change, never have been. Hopefully he backs up those words with the actions at the end of the year. Again, for anyone that's just coming in here, I want Baumel and Preller to be here the rest of the year. I don't think firing them at any point this year does anything. Okay, this is the team. This is the leadership. It is what it is. But at the end of the year, I'm not talking about Baumel. I'm more talking about AJ. Again, the results, they have to speak louder than a relationship that Preller and Seidler have. Yeah, and the Hader thing. Matt says Hader won't go 4 outs. He's going for his cash. I think that part of that is that, like, he knows he's a free agent at the end of the season. So he's probably like, hey, if I don't have to go multiple innings, I don't have to go more than 3 outs, why should I? That's just risking more. That's more time out there that I'm going high effort, and going all out on the mound, and I could get hurt, and that could destroy my free agency value. Like, I do understand that, but you haven't pitched in 10 days. I think it was 10 days, whatever it was. Let me go to his game logs because I don't want to just throw out the 10 days and be wrong on that. Yeah, June 20th and then June 30th. Back-to-back outings. That was back-to-back outings. June 20th. Next time he pitched was June 30th. this is the postseason time for the Padres if they want to get to the postseason. Already, I get it. It's July, but still, look at the record. You got to win games. So yeah, this is a guy that I understand where he's coming from, but this is the postseason time, in my opinion, for the Padres. They got to win games. Chad, in all caps, sell, sell, sell. Anything less would be ridiculous. The way they're playing, yeah. If they're, I get it. Maybe I'd get it. I'd still probably prefer them to sell. But if they're like 2 games under 500, I would get it more. Like, okay, we're in it. But they're 8 games under. If they stay like this through the trade deadline, are you kidding? And you don't sell, that's not helping you for next year. And nothing's going to happen this year. Chad says, just imagine if Preller convinces Seidler to buy if they are 10 plus games under at the deadline. Yeah. That's what I'm scared of. Like Seidler saying AJ is excellence. They're not going anywhere. Hopefully what Seidler means by that is they're not going anywhere this season. Preller's not going anywhere this season. I understand that. I don't want him to go anywhere this season because I don't think that helps the franchise. But at the end of the year, you got to look at the franchise. You got to look at yourself in the mirror. I agree, JD's third. The fight thing. Hey, at least they fought. Yeah, that means nothing right now. Because like that's fine in April and May when it's like, yeah, they got a lot of time left, but sure they have months left, but look at where they are. And things continue to trend in the wrong direction. So yeah, fighting. Oh, they fought. At least we battled. The fans don't want to hear that now. Maybe that was encouraging a couple months ago. That's not encouraging now. What's encouraging, the only thing that would be encouraging is what happens with the wins and losses, right? They get on a winning streak. Like that would be more encouraging. That's the only thing that would be encouraging at this point. A lot of comments in here, so just trying to scroll through and see which comments I should talk on here. Albert says, I still support AJ Preller 110%. Been a Padres fan since 1975. I don't care what the haters think. So you're on Seidler's side. You love AJ Preller. You support everything about him, huh? You're okay with making the playoffs twice in 9 years, twice in 8 years? You're fine with that? You're okay with that? I think we should have higher expectations than that. Brent says, can always trade Hader, then just re-sign him in the offseason if we really want that. Makes no sense to hold on to him this year. I don't think Hader's coming back. I think, yeah, trade Hader, and he's not going to come back. But yeah, if the two sides want to be with each other, yeah, trade him. If nothing happens this year, they continue playing like this, trade him, and then sign him back. I think that's what the Yankees did with Aroldis Chapman. Trade him to the Cubs and then brought him back. Do that. There's nothing stopping you from that, is there? That's I see some stuff with the Cubs and Marcus Stroman. Like they're maybe not having an extension done. The Cubs aren't going to go anywhere this year. It's like Hader, like trade him, and before you trade him, or when you're in that room, saying, yeah, we're trading you, but look, we're trying to still build this franchise and be better going into next year with you in mind. We want to have this team be better, so we're going to deal you because we're not going anywhere this year. Get something back that will help us next year when you're teammates with those people. And I think that's a no-brainer. I don't think they're signing Hader, but yes, if they do want to bring back Hader, yeah, you trade him, and then you hope to bring him back. If you don't bring him back, it's not the end of the world because then you don't have to give a guy over $100 million to not pitch 3 days in a row, not give you multiple innings. And AJ has had, if AJ's still here, he's had the history of bringing in relievers. Smaller names, 1-year deals, 2-year deals, 1-year deal with an option. He's had the history of doing that and those guys helping this team and being really good. Let's see here. Steven says AJ in the interview with Ben and Woods, I'm guessing is what Steven's referring to here, said essentially having good farm prospects is good, so he used them to trade. Lots of this consistently competitive teams develop and then play their prospects. Yeah, look at the Dodgers, right? Look at the Rays, the Braves. They have homegrown people, or they trade for guys and they lock them into these extensions like immediately that seem that are team friendly, you know? Yeah. AJ, that's what he's been, is he's been a guy that he has drafted well. Anyone that says AJ sucks at drafting, I disagree with that. Like, he has drafted well, but he has those guys and uses them to go get guys that are star players that have high salaries, and you're going to have to extend them or give them big contracts in a couple years because their contract's up. Instead of seeing what they can give you at the big league level and trying to, trust those guys. At some point you need those guys to come up, and they just don't have the depth right now in the minor league system because a lot of those guys have been dealt. So it makes the fan base excited. It sells out season tickets and creates a huge wait list for season tickets, but it hasn't brought the results. But yeah, the drafting, Mackenzie Gore, CJ Abrams, Cal Quantrill, Josh Naylor, I think he was drafted, right? Patino, I think that was internationally, right? But like, he has nailed his first round draft picks. James Wood, Jackson Merrill, Susanna was internationally, I believe, but he has done pretty good with his draft picks, his top draft picks. But have we seen them in the big leagues? Have we seen them come up and be that star player with the Padres? No, we haven't. Preston says Padres should trade Cronenworth. Oh boy. Bundled with Merrill to get rid of that contract. Trade Snell for a haul and Hader. Roll the dice next year and after retooling. Okay, Preston. Okay, trade Snell and Hader. All right. But who's going to take Jake Cronenworth? Who's going to take that contract? I don't mean it like Jake Cronenworth sucks. I'm saying, like, who's going to take that contract after what they've seen this year? Teams, you don't see teams trade for a guy that's locked into a 7-year contract, do you? Usually you see teams trade for, if it's a star player, they trade for a star and then they extend him. Or they let him play out a couple years, whatever is left on the contract. They don't acquire a guy who just signed a 7-year extension with the other team. That doesn't happen very much. If it does, re-jog my memory, but that doesn't happen. So that's not going to happen. Bogarts isn't going anywhere. Manny's not going anywhere. Tatis isn't going anywhere. Crony's not going anywhere. It's not happening. Yeah, and the Merrill thing, like, Merrill's got to come up and be something. Like, I'm tired of trading away prospects, and then the guys the Padres acquire don't end up turning into much, or not turning into something. They already are something, and then they come over to the Padres, and then it seems like they underperform. They got to have some homegrown guys, because again, this Seidler payroll, sure, he might keep spending for a couple years, but he's not going to keep this payroll at 280 or whatever it's at. He's not going to keep it at that for the next decade every year. It's not going to happen. I mean, trade Kim. I'm seeing that in the comments here in the chat. That's something I think about more, because Kim, he's probably at his highest value right now. He has only 1 more year of control after this year. I think he has a mutual option for 2025. So I guess 2 years if it's guaranteed Kim comes back, but it's not guaranteed. Highest point, you can move Crony over to second base where he will be better, like value-wise. And you can bring in someone better at first base who will have more power than Cronenworth, who will probably hit better than Cronenworth. Because like Cronenworth, he's not going to get traded. Kim can get traded because he has a shorter contract. They didn't lock him up. So that makes more sense for the Padres. I don't know if I see that happening because I think the Padres still value Kim and they think he can help them next year. But kind of like Soto, not to put them on the same level, but similar situations contract wise. I think that they don't want to trade Kim. I think for me, it's like, yeah, trade Snell and Hader. If that's all you do, okay, I understand you don't want to trade guys for next year. But Snell and Hader, like, I don't see them coming back. So get rid of them if this team continues playing like this. Yeah, Michael says, who are you going to trade for some return value? Nobody wants Carpenter or Grisham. They're trash. Yeah, it's Snell and Hader. Those are the two that stand out. You could point to like Waka, right? I think he has a bunch of options. So maybe him. But I think the Padres have a club option on him, if I remember correctly. So they could just bring him back. I think it's for like 16 mil. Let me double check that. Michael Waka contract. Yeah, it's a 4-year deal, but there are options in there. It's a mutual option for 2024. Oh boy. So does Waka think that he can get more than 16 million a year next year on the market? And he's had a good year, but will that continue? We'll see. So he definitely hasn't made a decision on that. And then it's a club option for 2025 at 16 mil. Player option for 2026, but that's a long way down the road. Yeah, so with Waka, if he continues to have a really good next month here, maybe they trade him because they don't think that he's going to agree to the mutual option. But yeah, Snell and Hader are definitely the ones that stick out. Just going through the chat here. Yeah, Greg says Manny and X killing this team. I mean, this year, yeah, it's been bad. They've underperformed. They're Bogarts is pissed off at himself, at least when he's talking to the media, and Manny is as well, saying that he's embarrassed, and he should be based on the expectation, signing that huge contract, and then this is the year that he's had with all. And I don't even want to like link the contract together because that makes it seem like I'm saying like he doesn't care. Right, once he got the contract, he stopped caring, and I don't think that's true. I think he does care. I should more say just with the expectations coming off of an MVP year, huge expectations. You have Tatis back, you bring in Bogarts, right? World Series or bust, right? All that, and this is what you give so far this year. Yeah, it's been pretty bad. I'm far behind in the chat, so I apologize for that. But I just had a lot of thoughts that I was getting off my chest before going to the chat here. Austin says about all AJ can do is draft really good players, but that's it. That's his specialty, obviously. Yeah. Look, I'd be fine with AJ being like the scouting director or something for amateur scouting director for the team. President of baseball operations, yeah, the results have not worked out. Matt says Seidler said he likes stability, and what players have more financial stability than Preller signings? That's true. He has said in the past, like he likes having fans being able to go buy jerseys, right? Buy a Cronenworth, Manny, Bogarts, Tatis, like they're going to be here for a long time. Musgrove, Darvish, he wants the stability. But okay, those are players, like they can't be fired, but AJ can be fired. Like, okay, you like the stability. I get that. And that's talent there that you do have locked down. But with AJ, like the results have to mean something at some point. lot of comments in here. So I'm just continuing to scroll here. A lot of it's about like the same stuff with Seidler. So if I've already hit on it, then I'm probably scrolling through it here. If you want to make sure I get to your comment or your question, you can use that super chat button. Chad says it's the same people who call fans that voice their frustrations bandwagon. So I guess the only way to not be a bandwagon to those fans is to just sit back and accept the mediocrity quietly. That's a good point. That's a good point. There are some fans where it's like they're not real diehard fans of the team. I think you can tell by some of their comments. But like, yeah, Chad, like those that express their frustration and they want AJ gone at the end of the year and they're very knowledgeable about the team. Yeah, like they should not be called bandwagon fans. They're just frustrated with the product, you know? And I'm right there with you. I'm definitely frustrated with the product. And there have been times, I'm sure you guys have noticed it if you watch the post-game reactions, and I don't sound like very enthusiastic about it. It's because, you know, this team, it's just really frustrating. And, you know, sometimes you're at a loss for words because it's the same thing over and over again, or it just keeps getting worse. And so it's not the same thing over and over again, but it's just they're digging a deeper hole. And it's just like, it just leaves you speechless because what the heck? I mean, they're getting swept by the Pirates. They're losing 2 out of 3 to the Nats. They lost a series to the Royals earlier this year. They're 8 games under 500. Like what the heck is going on? So yeah, I love the enthusiasm, the passionate fans here watching this on replay, live, listening to the podcast, on social media, at the ballpark. I love Padres fans. Oh, here's a Ryan Flaherty, the hitting coordinator or co-hitting coordinator, whatever the heck he does, offensive coordinator. Yeah, firing Flaherty, I don't know if that does anything. Like it's on the players. I don't know if firing anyone on the staff does anything because they're giving the players all the information they need according to the players, and the players just aren't doing their job. Oceanside Boys 760 says, what would have happened if Manny, Darvish, and Cronenworth weren't re-signed? You had to make them earn their contracts. And that's a good point. But if we were sitting here and Manny was a free agent at the end of the year and he was doing bad, would Padre fans sit there and say, I do not want Manny Machado on this team? Where would we go from there? We would say, let's go all in for Matt Chapman with no guarantee that he would be with the Padres in free agency. They don't have any third base depth, right? I guess they could move Bogarts to third, but they're going to have Manny not be on the team. They're going to have Bogarts move to third. You have Kim at short, Crony at second. I guess you could have that, sure. But Preller loves the stability, and he freaking loves Manny Machado. The front office, they weren't as sold on as Seidler on the Manny extension. They were okay with having it play out. They were fine with that. Seidler, things changed on the Manny extension fronts when Seidler went into spring training and got the deal done. You notice when he went into spring training, he had that press conference, right, with the media, and I believe he said something like, yeah, Manny's my number one priority. And what happened? Later that spring, I think it was before the WBC, an extension happens. So I think we can agree, like, Seidler was the driving force behind that. Maybe there were some other extensions that Preller really wanted, but Seidler was that. So you can probably blame Seidler on that, but Seidler loves the stability, and Manny's his guy. So he was going to go get that deal done. And by the way, to be fair, Manny was coming off an MVP season. I thought he should have won the MVP last year. And things haven't turned out great this year. There's still a long ways to go in this second contract that Manny has. I know it's not been great, but he was coming off of the postseason, obviously, carrying the team in the regular season. Seidler did have some reasons to give Manny that extension and not wanting it to get to free agency, where that could bring the Mets in there. It could bring some other big market teams in there. Barry says, how pissed is Mrs. Seidler? She's probably mad too, because I know she I would assume watches, I know she watches some of the games. She probably watches most of the games with Peter. But she's not like the head person in it. So I don't know how invested she is in, to be honest. But yeah, she's probably mad too. It is, the family's money as well, like the family's time and investment going into that. So yeah, they're probably all not very pleased. And they shouldn't be. All this money that they spent on this roster, envisioning that World Series trophy, and this is what has happened. Huge letdown. Just Soto in the All-Star. No, Soto and Hader. No starters, which I probably wouldn't have believed you if you told me in spring training that the Padres would have 0 starters in the National League All-Star game just because of the superstars on the team. I probably would have said I think Manny has a good shot. I think Soto has a good shot. I think Tatis even has a good shot. Bogarts maybe even. But yeah, has not materialized like that. So right now it's Hader and Soto. I think those are 2 deserving guys. Maybe Tatis gets in. I wouldn't hold my breath with Kim, but maybe he gets in as a replacement for second base. Maybe Snell gets in, but that's probably all that I would have in that conversation. And the All-Star game, I believe, is the 11th. Home Run Derby on the 10th. We'll see if Soto does it. We'll see if Tatis does it. I don't think Tatis would. Do we want Soto doing the Home Run Derby? Or does it not matter because we think the season's over? Because what if Soto does it and something happens? Then we're really done. Or it could like loosen him up and he's winning something there and he feels good coming after the All-Star break. But again, that's batting practice. That it's not like he's facing real pitching. I don't know. For me, it's kind of like, okay, if he does it, he does it. We have no control over any of this, obviously. We're just passionate about it. JD's third asked about who the National League pitchers are. Yeah, so I can bring up the full list too this year. So Kershaw is one. Sorry, it's loading. All right, here's the pitchers. Alexis Diaz, who the Padres just faced with the Reds. Camilo Duvall, Bryce Elder with the Braves, Zach Gallen with the D-backs, Josiah Gray, who shut down the Padres earlier this year. He's with the Nats, obviously. We got Hader, and then Mitch Keller with the Pirates, Clayton Kershaw, Justin Steele with the Cubs, Spencer Strider with the Braves, Marcus Stroman with the Cubs, and Devin Williams. So Devin Williams and Josh Hader, former teammates, they'll get to be with each other during the All-Star game there. And then All-Star reserves, Elias Diaz with the Rockies, Will Smith with the Dodgers. So no JT Realmuto All-Star game, at least for now. Sean Murphy's the starting catcher for the Braves. Or starting catcher for the National League from the Braves. Ozzie Albies, he makes it. Pete Alonso makes it. Matt Olson makes it. Austin Riley. So a ton of Braves players. And they're the best team in the National League, so they should have plenty. Dansby Swanson, Nick Castellanos, Lourdes Gurriel Jr., Soto, obviously, and then Jorge Soler. He makes it. So that's the National League side. I can get in the AL, but I don't think Padres fans care too much about the American League All-Star side. You can look that up. Yeah, Padres Angels, this upcoming series. Musgrove Ohtani is what it looks like it's going to be July 4th. So that's cool. Don't know when Darvish is going to pitch. He was lined up for Sunday today, but he ended up not feeling well. So Monday seems like he's not going to start Monday. And Tuesday, we'll see. Probably not, because Musgrove is projected to be starting that game. And I believe the Padres announced all of the projected starters. I think they have. Okay. Blake Snell is going to go tomorrow, Monday. Musgrove Tuesday. And then it looks like they're leaving open the possibility of having Darvish pitch on Wednesday, to be announced. And then the Angels, it's going to be Berea, not Ohtani. They're going to give Ohtani an extra day. They're going to pitch him Tuesday, Musgrove against Ohtani. And then Patrick Sandoval will be pitching Wednesday for the Angels. And the Angels, they're over 500. They're not playing great as of late, like really recently, but Ohtani leads the league in home runs. He has, I think, more home runs combined than Tatis and Manny. Yeah. He's a star talent. His last start, I don't know if you guys saw this, but he struck out 10. He left because of an injury, the cracked fingernail or whatever. Seems like he's fine. He hit 2 home runs in that game, and one of them was after he left with the cracked fingernail. So, yeah, he is one of a kind. And enjoy watching him at Petco, because I just, right now, the way things are going, I don't see him coming to the Padres. I want to keep some optimism, but he wants to be on a winner. And does he want to be on a team that's not guaranteed to win year in, year out, when he could go to the Dodgers? Shoot, the Angels are being better. They're doing better. The Giants, they're doing more than the Padres are with less. And who knows if he's willing to go to the East Coast this time around, where that opens a lot more teams. Who knows what happens with the Mariners? I know they're underperforming, but we'll see what happens there. Still asks, Ben, are you still going to wear your shirt AJ Preller is a legend, or are you going to change it to AJ Preller is excellence? Yeah, that might be a new shirt. To me, AJ is excellence. Was that the quote? I think that was. I want to get the direct quote, because that might be a t-shirt. AJ is excellence. Yeah. AJ is excellent. And to me, no, this was the quote. I'm for excellence, and to me, AJ is excellence. That's what Seidler said. I love Peter, but AJ is not excellence based on the track record. He's not. Major league results-wise, he's not. That's not excellence. Barry says, I do love Seidler's positive and loyal attitude, though. I just think there needs to be some fire from someone, and I do see anyone from manager to GM/front office to owner that's fiery enough. I don't see anyone, I think, is what Barry's trying to say. Bob Melvin does get fiery, for sure. A GM isn't really supposed to get fiery, because then they make emotional decisions or quick decisions. And as a GM, you're supposed to make the best decision for the franchise, like probably now and in the future, if you're not winning in the future. So you're not supposed to make those emotional, quick decisions, fire this guy, fire that guy. But I think there is fire there. Seidler, he feels like there might be a little bit of a blind spot for Preller. Now, if he fires him at the end of the year, then he obviously doesn't have one. But for now, some of these quotes, it's like, yeah, he still has a ton of faith in AJ Preller. He has more faith in AJ than he probably should. Maybe he should have some faith, but like I'll give him that, but he shouldn't. I don't think it was needed to say AJ is excellence. He hasn't shown that. There's been some good moves. There's been some splashy moves that have sold a bunch of tickets, but I know he can't control how all the players do, but again, the results are the results. Chad says, Ben, what do you think about the comments comparing Melvin and Preller's relationship to Russia and Ukraine? I don't know what you're Oh, actually, I think I saw that in the Union Tribune, right? But that was from like Nick Canepa. Like, don't even take any stock into that, okay? Yeah, let me double check who that was. Russia and Ukraine. Yeah, this is from Nick Canepa over the weekend. I hear Preller and Melvin get along like Russia and Ukraine, which shouldn't be so shocking. It's doubtful AJ would have hired a successful veteran whose strings he couldn't pull as he did with Andy Green and Jay Stingler. I'm certain Seidler wanted experience on the bridge, and it sure looked every bit the great hire last year. So that's a guy that doesn't, at least from my knowledge, he doesn't go in the clubhouse. He doesn't go to Petco Park. Nick Canepa, we're going to rely on that. I'm not taking in any stock in that. This is a guy that continues to talk about the Chargers. I mean, come on. Just continuing to go through the comments here. Charlie says, damn, but did Ben upgrade his internet? It hasn't lagged one time yet. Hey, I'm using the same thing that I've had for weeks now. Like, I have the cord attached. There we go. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I don't know what to tell you. So I'm happy for you all that it's working. Lakem asks, do you think Bochy or Ron Washington would do a better job than Bob right now? I don't know. It's a fair question. Maybe Bochy would do a better job. Look what he's doing with the Rangers, but he also has Rangers players that are performing better than some of the Padres players. You know? So it's a fair question. I don't know about Ron Washington. I don't know. But even if, let's say Bob continued, let's say he's made some mistakes this year, and we know he has, right? He's made some mistakes. And the players, though, let's say in an alternate universe, they played up to the level of expectation this year. Would the Padres be over 500 or would they be under 500? They would be over, right? They should be comfortably over 500 if they performed up to expectations. So I don't think we would be zoning in on, oh, Bob Melvin. We would be looking at, oh, they have a winning record. We have a great team. I don't think there would be that much attention on Bob Melvin. I think some just want to look for the scapegoat because the Padres aren't performing up to those expectations, really. Charlie says, Matt Lee, we need to get you on a Padres show. Dude, I have the link pinned in the chat. So if anyone wants to come on, feel free to do so. I usually put that link in there. Okay, before we get out of here, I want to give some thoughts on some things that have happened around San Diego sports over the weekend. Now, this was on Friday. I did a video on the YouTube channel, but I guess this is for the podcast audience that did not get my thoughts on San Diego State, that don't subscribe to the YouTube channel, which I obviously hope that you do and turn on the notifications so you can be a part of these shows and you can see right when I upload videos. But San Diego State, they informed the Mountain West that they're not going to be leaving the conference in 2024, 2025. June 30th was pretty much the deadline for San Diego State, because if they said they were going to leave for 24, 25 today, let's say, they'd have to pay double what the exit fee was going to be. They'd have to pay $34 million instead of 17. And JD Wicker, the athletic director has said, yeah, we can't do that. We're not going to do that. So not surprising. I think some people think that San Diego State maybe doesn't look that great here because they they told the Mountain West we intend to leave, and now they're not leaving, but they're not crawling back to the Mountain West. Like, they can't do anything. It's not like they were offered a Pac-12 expansion, like they got the invite and they decided to crawl back. Like, no, the media deal for the Pac-12 isn't done. So the Pac-12 can't offer an invite to San Diego State for expansion. We don't even know when that deal is going to get done. So San Diego State, they couldn't pay $17 million in an exit fee and then maybe not even have a conference in 24-25, because who knows, maybe the Pac-12 folds or they don't even get an invitation. So yeah, they had to take the Mountain West. They had, or not offer. They were still in the Mountain West. They never left. They said they intended to leave. They stayed in the Mountain West. They had to. It was the safe thing. So that's what they did. And if they have to wait another year, they have to wait till 25, 26 that year to move, then that's what they're due. I don't think it's the end of the world to have to stay in the Mountain West for one extra year. All right. The San Diego Loyal yesterday on Saturday, a disappointing draw. Now, on the road, you take a point. It's not the end of the world, but considering the circumstances, that's a disappointing draw. The San Diego Loyal, they had a 2-0 lead. This one was on TV. I think it was on the CW network. So I was watching this whole game, and 2-0 lead. They were playing without Guido, but they were up 2-0 on a team that was down a man because Reese, however you pronounce his name, he had a red card. A couple dumb fouls by him, a couple yellow cards, gave him a red card. So they had the advantage. And Indy started playing better after the Loyal were up 2-0 and had the man advantage, the numbers advantage. Machado had the close chance in the 20th minute. Charlie Adams scored on a penalty kick in the 32nd minute. And then Conway scored in the 54th minute on a great assist from Machado. Great assist, by the way. Yeah. Very, very good pass there. One touch and in. So 2-0 there. But it was just dumb. There were just dumb passes, dumb fouls, dumb decisions. There was a pass backwards, literally, like into the box. And then there was a foul there, I think, by Kyle Adams. And then, so that ended up being the first goal for Indy. Then there was another one. The pass wasn't really backwards, but it was just a dumb foul inside the penalty box that shouldn't have happened. It gave another penalty kick to Indy, and they score there. And so it was a 2-2 draw. And that's one of those where it was like, man, they could have lost the game. Koki Vegas, he made a great save in I think it was the 82nd minute. It was pretty late in the match. He made a great save. It was a 1-on-1, and he was able to keep it from going in. So good on him. But yeah, disappointing draw. This is one where you think that they should have taken 2 points, and instead they only get 1 point out of it. So next up, next Saturday at 4 p.m. against Hartford on the road. 6-5-6 is the Loyal record. Yeah, disappointing draw. They were down players, but they had the man number advantage. It was 11-on-10 there, and they allowed 2 goals there on some dumb decisions. So disappointing. And then the San Diego Wave on Saturday, they lost to the Chicago Red Stars 1-0. They had a lead. It looked like they had a 1-0 lead, but then the goal was called back. Doniak scored. Mackenzie Doniak, 42nd minute, off of a header from Korniak, an assist from Hill. Great pass in, 1 touch from Doniak and in. But Korniak was like half a foot, half a body, whatever, offsides. And so that costs the Wave. And then obviously, minutes later, the Chicago Red Stars, they end up getting a goal. Stevens with the header near post, kick kind of from the corner. And so, yeah, that was the score. But that was not just the story of the game. I mean, the Wave, like, there's some encouraging things to take away. Like, they're playing down a lot of players, obviously, because they're on international duty and they're going to be away for a while. They were down Kristen McNabb, I believe, because of injury as well. So it's not the best circumstances, but they did have a lot of chances. They played better, I thought, in the first half than Chicago did. Chicago just got that goal, and the Wave, their goal was offsides. But a lot of chances from Jaden Shaw. Rachel Hill, she had one off the post. So yeah, it was a disappointing loss. Second half comes, right? And Doniak and Korniak had some good chances in the 70th minute. Couldn't score there. And in the 86th minute, there was a ball in the box, and Korniak goes up, and she gets hit in the head by the Chicago keeper. No repercussions. Nothing. No foul. Nothing. Which I thought was terrible. And there was a time earlier in the game where Doniak was getting a throw in. I forget from who was throwing in, Westfall or Pogard probably. And the Chicago player, as Doniak's turning around to go towards Chicago's net, obviously, just kicks her. And there's nothing, no card there. It's like, how? How is that not a card? And so, yeah, no foul, nothing on Korniak. And it looked like she was crying a little bit for a good amount of time there. So, yeah, she was definitely shaken up by that. And, yeah, it felt like the refs were definitely against the San Diego Wave yesterday. But they had chances. I don't think they're going to make excuses for the loss, but that was a part of the story in this Wave loss. So when are they going to win their next game? We'll see. Hopefully it's this coming Saturday against the Washington Spirit. Wave are now 6-6-2. They have not won a regular season match since, I believe, Gotham, which was a while ago. That was the beginning of June. So it's been a while. They obviously lost on Saturday. They lost to Angel City. They lost to OL Reign. They tied with Racing Louisville, I believe. So it's been a while since they've won. I'm proud of the fight that they showed. It's not the end of the world. You know, they're more than halfway through the season. But at the same time, there were some encouraging signs. They're down a lot of players. And I think as more time goes on and these players are more comfortable playing with each other, it will only get better. And so I'm encouraged by that. They're still in a playoff spot. And I think their depth will show off better in the long run than some other teams' depth while World Cup players are away. So I was proud of their effort. No Jakobsen, no Sheridan. Yanez made some pretty good saves as well. So good for her. No Morgan, no Germa, no Van Egmond, no McNabb, right? Like they're down a lot of players. Dahlkemper, if you want to count her, but she's been gone the whole year. They were down a lot of players, and they were in position. You know, they had some shots there where they could have at least had a draw, maybe could have won the match. And so hopefully they can actually go win the match at Snapdragon on Saturday against the Washington Spirit. Make sure to get your tickets. San Diego Wave FC's website, Ashley Hatch and the Washington Spirit at Snapdragon Stadium to take on the Wave. Again, that is next weekend. Can't wait for that. All right. Any more comments here? Chad says, thanks, boys. See y'all next time. Good work, Ben. Thank you. I appreciate you. Appreciate all you for being here. Been talking for almost 2 hours now, over an hour and a half. You don't have to be here, but I definitely appreciate you being here. Yeah, have a great 4th of July, everyone. Please be safe. Hopefully this Padres team can bring us some joy over this long weekend. I'm sure some have a long weekend, so enjoy it. Seriously, enjoy it. All right. Mike says, Bob Melvin almost got them to the World Series last year and then I guess forgot how to manage this year. Come on, folks. Yeah, no. Yeah, this, again, if you're going to put blame, it's it's players and then Preller. And then Melvin, if those are your three options. Yeah, Melvin's at the bottom. All right. Thank you all for watching, for listening. Episode 422, Talking Friars. That's it. Have a great rest of your day. Great rest of the week if you're listening this on Monday or watching this on Monday. See you later.